Bad Memories. Written and directed by Julian Simpson.
How come no one's done this place up?
Shh. There might be people here.
What, like Satanists or something?
No. Like tramps and whatever.
Oh, scary tramps.
Just keep your voice down.
Look over here.
What?
Must have been a fire or something.
So don't go through there. It's probably not safe.
There's nothing left of it. What can happen?
Fine, do whatever. I want to look upstairs.
Well, that is stupid. That could be structurally dodgy. Seriously, there's been a fire. You don't know what supports what, or what might...
Tom? Are you... Tom? Are you all right?
I think so.
Can you move? Can you move?
Yeah. I can move. But there's nothing to climb on. Can you get me a...
Oh, you can be safe. What?
Get me out of here! Call the police!
What's there?
Get me out of here! There's bones here! A load of dead people!
Yeah?
Rachel Weir?
Hi.
Detective Inspector Jim Marquez, Christchurch Police.
How can I...
They told you I was coming?
No? Well, there may have been, and I don't check my email very often.
Ah, okay. Well, I'm sorry if you're about to call it a day, but Monroe said I should come and see you.
Charlie Monroe?
Yeah, he said you helped him out rebuilding some corrupted audio and a surveillance...
No, I'm not supposed to talk about that.
No, of course not, no, but Monroe said that you're an audio whiz is the point. He said you might be able to help me.
Well, okay, then.
Good. So, do you remember the Blake family?
Blake?
6 years ago, the whole family disappeared from their house in the New Forest.
The architect?
That's right, Jonathan Blake. Him and his wife and their little boy just vanished into thin air.
I read about that. It was weird.
Yeah.
And no one ever...
Well, there's no trace of them at all. The house stood empty because it still technically belonged to the Blake family. Now, a year or so ago, some squatters broke in and started a fire, accidentally by all accounts, which destroyed part of the structure. Then 10 days ago, a couple of local kids were exploring the place when one of them fell through a floor that had been weakened by the fire into some kind of a cellar that wasn't actually part of the Blake house, but predated it by about 200 years.
Well, there'd been a building on the site before.
Yeah, and there were bodies in that cellar.
The Blakes?
Yeah, actually 5 bodies. Jonathan and Imogen Blake and their little boy Matthew, along with another unidentified female and a man we've identified as Philip Gibson, who'd been on the missing persons register since around the same time as the Blakes disappeared.
Okay. But if the cellar wasn't part of the Blake house, how do they...
Well, we don't know, but that's not the biggest mystery.
Oh?
The bodies were just skeletons. DNA tests confirmed the identities, all but the 5th one, the woman. But forensics tested the bacterial build-up and whatever else was to try to determine time of death.
And?
It's 1926.
I'm sorry.
All 5 died in around about 1926.
Well, that's not...
No, it's not. But they've triple-checked it. And it is.
Is this a wind-up, Jim? No. I didn't think Monroe had much of a sense of humour, but...
This is not a wind-up.
You found the bodies of 5 people who disappeared in what, 2004?
November 2004, yeah.
And you think they somehow, went back in time and died in 1926?
Well, actually, they were murdered. There are chips on the bone of all 5 bodies, consistent with them having been stabbed repeatedly. possibly with a large pair of scissors.
Can I see some ID, Jim?
This is legit. I'm not saying I believe it. I'm just telling you what my lab is telling me.
Your lab's made a mistake.
And I'm certainly not ruling that out.
So what can I...
Well, there was a digital voice recorder found with the bodies. And we tracked the serial number back, and it belonged to this Phil Gibson guy.
And you think that somehow whatever's on this voice recorder is going to clear this whole thing up?
Well, I just want to know what's on it. No one in my office can get it to play.
Show me. I'm going to need to handle it.
No, you can take it out of the bag. Our boys are done with it.
It's pretty dirty.
Well, it's been buried in a cellar.
Oh, of course. For 100 years.
Actually, according to forensic, that's how all the bottom layers of dirt are, yeah.
I think those guys are having a big laugh at your expense, Jim.
How long before I can hear something?
Hard to say. A couple of hours should yield some results either way.
Okay, well, I'll go and I'll come back then. Is there anything you need?
There is. A grande latte with an extra shot from the place on the corner if you're back before they close.
Do you want sugar?
Did you bring some?
Yeah, I grabbed a handful of sachets.
Then yes.
Oh, you got something?
A lot of the recordings are corrupted beyond repair, but I'm salvaging what I can. This is the first one I've listened to. You want me to go back to the top?
Yeah.
Ready?
Go for it.
2:03 p.m., 3rd of November, 2004. The Blake House. Finally. 2 miles from the nearest road, along a dirt track, through a forest. Certainly remote. Most of the locals didn't even seem to know there was a house out here, much less the history of the site itself.
I'm not sure I'm aware of the history myself.
Excuse me?
I'm Jonathan Blake. You must be
Oh, yes.
Phil Gibson.
Sorry, yes, that's right.
You found it okay? Well, obviously you found it. You're here.
Well, it's good to finally meet you, Mr. Blake.
Jonathan, please. You were saying about the history?
There was a house on this site before, burned down.
Is that right?
I'd like to do a little background reading before I...
Excellent, yes. Talking of which, I'm afraid I wasn't able to track down any of your previous pieces on the paper's website.
Yes, they are a little slow at getting everything online. Local papers, understaffed.
Well, no, I didn't mean that to
That's
sound...
okay.
Another house, you say?
That's right.
Can I get online in here?
The machine's over there.
Okay, keep playing it.
And I suppose the family didn't have the stomach to rebuild. Or perhaps they didn't have any insurance.
They died.
Ah, yeah, I suppose that would explain it.
Well, I just thought it was interesting.
Well, why don't you grab whatever bits you need from the car and come inside and meet the Blake clan? Where did you park?
Actually, that's a funny story. My car sort of died on me back up on the main road.
You walked up here?
Thought it was closer than it was.
Have you called the breakdown people?
No phone service, so I...
No, of course. Well, you can call them from inside and I'll give you a lift back down there when they arrive.
Well, that's very kind of you.
That's no problem. Don't mention fires and dead people in the house, though. My son hears enough bumps in the night as it is.
That's the end of the first audio file.
Interesting.
Which part?
I don't know, maybe all of it. I mean, what I've got here, all the information on Phil Gibson from the missing persons investigation. Gibson didn't work for the local paper.
Well, no, he didn't say which one. There are a few. Or it could be...
No, I've got everything. His employment history, bank statements going back years. He's never received a single payment from anyone for writing anything. He didn't even live locally. Phil Gibson went missing from a grotty little bedsit in North London. He worked part-time for a second-hand bookshop. His boss reported him missing the day after the Blakes disappeared. Apparently Gibson hadn't shown up for work 3 days on the trot.
Well, now we know where he was. But why is he lying to Jonathan Blake?
I don't know. Keep going.
Okay. According to the metadata on the file, this is 22 minutes later. The first few minutes are lost, so...
Just too much after a while,
afraid.
You've always lived around here?
Well,
Sugar? No?
oh no, just black things.
Sorry, I know you're supposed to be asking me the question.
That's okay.
He's nervous.
I'm used to talking about my work, but not about myself. To journalists, I mean, these kind of
I said it would be a good
pieces.
idea.
I mean, yes, you have Imogen to thank for that. Introducing us to the local community, wasn't it?
Something like that. Although I hope it didn't sound quite that pompous.
Mum, can I have a snack?
This is Matthew. Matthew, this is Mr. Gibson. He's from the local paper to interview Daddy.
Hi.
Hello.
Can I have a snack?
You just had lunch.
I'm hungry.
Did he have any fruit at lunchtime?
Yeah, he had an apple.
Sorry, Philip, this is Bisa. She looks after Matthew every now and again.
Hello.
This Beezer woman wasn't mentioned in the original Blake investigation,
Look in the bar.
but she could be the fifth body.
You can't have chocolate, have some fruit.
I don't want fruit.
Matthew.
We're talking to Mr. Gibson, Matthew. Take some fruit and go back to what you were doing. Bisa, could you...
Yeah, come this way.
I'm sorry, where were we?
I've completely lost the thread. Is that on? Your recorder, there's a red light on, is it?
Oh, I see.
No,
well, yes, it is.
Is that...
well, if you were to say something pertinent here...
Is that
it's-
ethical? I
Well,
mean-
if you'd rather I turned it
No,
off,
no,
that's
I'm just
fine.
worried
It's just that I
about-
wouldn't want to misquote
No, of
something
course,
you
of
said.
course,
It's
of
to
course.
aid accuracy,
Yes,
you see.
yes, well,
I should have
suppose-
said... No, but it tends to put people on guard.
No, that's fine.
When I say
it's fine.
first.
When I'm just, overreacting. I'm just not used to. Ignore me. It's fine.
Oh, I should have asked, I'm sorry.
No, not at all. We should probably go to my study. Let everyone get on here.
Of course.
Oh, your car. You need to call the breakdown people.
Oh,
Maybe that
yes.
should wait.
Why?
Well, if they turn up halfway through.
Oh, that's true.
And there's plenty of time.
Well, I'm fine with that.
You sure?
Probably better.
Well, all right then.
Lead the way.
We'd originally intended to go with wood floors all through here, with underfloor heating, but there was all this stone scattered around the site, so I decided to use that. It felt more traditional, as if we were somehow incorporating the area into the design.
Well, perhaps that was from the original house.
What was?
The stone.
Oh, I see. There was a house here before, you say?
Apparently, yes.
This is where I hide out and do my work. The computers are all linked into the servers in the London office, and I've got video conferencing set up so I can share designs and ideas with the guys up there. Grab a seat.
Oh, I should start a new recording for the interview itself. Just one sec.
What was that weird noise?
No idea. It didn't sound like an artifact on the recording. More like it was actually there in the room at the time.
Now that you'd mention it, though, wouldn't you? If it's suddenly happening here, you'd say something.
You'd have thought.
Play it again, just that last bit.
It felt more traditional, as if we were somehow incorporating the area into the design.
Perhaps that was from the original house. The stone.
Oh, I see.
No idea what that is. I can clean it up and analyse it. See if there are any recognisable components to the sound.
Bird songs bothering me.
What about it?
They're swallows.
Okay, leaving aside the obvious question of what kind of person actually recognises birdsong, why is it a deal that they're swallows?
Well, this is November. Swallows are in Africa in November.
Maybe these ones were lost. Or lazy. Or racist.
But the birds don't make a choice to migrate, they just do it. There are no swallows in the New Forest in November.
I don't know what to do with that information. Am I carrying on?
Yeah.
Jonathan Blake interview, 4th of November 2004 at 4:22 p.m.
So, what attracted you to the New Forest, Mr. Blake?
Mister, we've gone formal for this now.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's just a force of habit, I suppose.
Most of the projects I've worked on over the last few years have been corporate buildings. London, Berlin, Bilbao. There have been a couple of residences, but they were out in the Middle East. I wanted to do something for me, for the family. Something English. And we've lived in London for a long time. We wanted to change, something quieter, something traditional, I suppose.
And when was the house finished?
Finished? Well, we moved in a couple of months ago. I'm not sure our house is ever really finished, is it? I mean, a corporate building, yes, you put the final touches and a company moves in, and that's... But a house is a home.
And there's a distinction.
Don't you think? We might say of somebody's house that it feels lived in. Well, what's that? You might picture a tatty old sofa or some pictures on the wall or a favourite chair, but that's just stuff. What we really mean is that there's a warmth about it, a friendliness. I'm desperately trying to avoid the word vibe, but you know what I mean.
Memories.
Yeah, I suppose, yes. Accumulated memories, left behind by the people that have lived there, the things that have happened. It's as if they soak into the fabric of the place.
I must say I'm a little surprised to hear an architect.
Well,
talk.
yes.
It's just not how I imagined you viewed
Well,
things.
and I probably wouldn't be saying this to one of the professional journals. But I think we all feel that, to some extent. That a successful house, a home, as distinct from a corporate project, is more than the sum of the design and the building materials. We become attached to places, don't we?
What happened?
That's as much as we've got. According to metadata, this clip runs another hour and a half, but it's all corrupted.
I want to know who the hell this guy is and why the hell he's pretending to be a journalist.
What about the kid?
What about him?
Her? It was a girl.
I thought it was a little boy.
That was a girl's voice.
Are you sure? Well, they didn't have a little girl. How could it be a girl?
I don't know. Didn't you think it was weird that neither of them acknowledged her presence?
Maybe. Yeah, it was weird.
It was as if they couldn't hear her.
Well, how's that? How could it be on the recording, but they didn't hear it in the room?
They didn't seem to hear the sound in the hallway earlier.
Can something get on the tape without...
Without coming through the microphone?
Yeah.
No. Well, yes, if the recording was doctored after the fact, but it wasn't.
How do you know?
This is a digital recording. It's ones and zeros. You might not hear something that was doctored if it was done well, but the equipment here would spot it as additional data. It would be out of sequence.
And it's not?
No.
And your equipment couldn't be...
No.
Okay. Next one.
There's something here. There's something in the house. I've played back some sections of the previous recordings. Kitchen seems clean. But there was some kind of noise in the hallway. And in Blake's study, there was a little girl. She was...
You right in there?
Just a second.
Hi.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure you were okay.
Oh, I'm fine.
There's some fresh coffee on, or maybe something stronger. I know what some of you journalists are like.
Oh, coffee's fine.
Great. Well, we'll go down to the kitchen and you can call the breakdown. Yeah, coming. Excuse me a minute.
Do you mind if I have a nose round?
Yeah, sure. You can find your way back down?
Sure. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realise. It's Matthew, isn't it? Amazing house. Well, Dad's a very clever man, isn't he? Built all this. Do you know the little girl's name, Matthew?
Mary.
Mary. Okay. Does Mary live in the house? What's funny?
She lives in the house. She lives on the floor.
Oh, of course, yes. In the stone floor, downstairs. Does Mary talk to you?
She taught me a song.
Oh, wow. Wow, that is cool. How does it go?
Can't remember.
I think you can. You can remember, can't you, Matthew? You sing the song to me.
Phil? Oh, we're in here.
I was just chatting to Matthew.
Sorry about that, phone. Should we go out? Are you still recording?
Excuse me?
The red light.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, it was just... I was making some notes about the house and I must have just left it on. Sorry.
This guy is genuinely creepy.
Gibson is.
Don't you think?
No, I think Gibson's on the make. That Matthew kid, on the other hand...
On the make how?
Well, I don't know yet, but there's going to be a money motive in this somewhere.
But the little girl we heard singing...
Is the same one teaching the spooky kids show tunes? Well, that's exactly what you're meant to think, or rather what the Blakes are meant to think. Now, this is a scam of some kind, trust me.
What scam that somehow ends with them all going back in time and getting murdered with scissors?
Well, that's part of the con as well.
Seriously?
What, it's all really happening? Is there a Mr. Weir?
My father.
No, I meant...
I know what you meant. The next clip's logged at 2 minutes later.
There you are. How was it?
It was fine, I think. Was it? It was very good. Got pretty much everything I need. Pretty much? Well, there are always things you forget to ask or wish you'd followed up on.
Has Matthew turned his light off?
Not yet.
Is he still playing that game?
Yeah, I think so.
I told him half an hour.
Well, where's Bisa?
She's gone.
Gone home, but it's not
You
even...
remember I said she'd
Hold on a
come
second.
today?
She can't have gone, the nanny.
Why not?
5 bodies.
Maybe she comes back.
Or maybe she never went.
What? She's hiding in a cupboard or something, you mean?
Not exactly, but...
Part of this elaborate con. Gibson and the nanny walk away at the end with trunks of money dressed as policemen.
All right, you're making fun of me. I'm just saying the nanny...
Can't have left.
Because she's the 5th body.
I get it.
Well, who else could it be?
I don't know. But the nanny left.
Well, maybe she comes back.
Or maybe she never left.
That's... I see what you did there.
Shall I?
Please.
So Phil needs to phone the breakdown service.
Now.
Yeah, why?
Dinner. Just put dinner... You need to give him a lift down to the car and it's going to happen right in the middle of...
I can walk. Really?
No, we can't walk. It's pitch black out there. 2 miles on a dirt track. Don't be silly.
Well, then...
Stay for dinner.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, I couldn't impose.
Nonsense, there's loads.
Then call the breakdown service after.
Well, if you're sure.
Or not.
Not what?
Sam's going to open a bottle of wine. If you call the breakdown people late in the evening, you don't know when they're finally going to turn up. And you can't have a drink in case...
Stop the tape.
It's not like we don't have play.
She's in on it.
Imogen?
She's in on it.
In on what?
Well, whatever it is.
Well, because she's suggesting he stay the night.
Exactly.
She's not just being hospitable.
Who does that?
Not you, clearly.
To a stranger? A journalist, supposedly, is what they think he is.
Imogen Blake's in on it, whatever it is, with Gibson.
Yeah.
And the nanny?
Well, we can't be certain about the
nanny in the cupboard.
Okay.
I just think you're jumping to conclusions.
Okay, so play the tape.
Because someone's hospitable.
Play the tape.
I suppose it would be easier. It's very kind of you.
Okay. What's going on here?
Going on?
There we go. He's got it. This guy's sharp.
Jonathan.
No car. What made you think that there's
Same
no...
thing that makes me think you're not a journalist with a local paper.
Well, that's
Borne out by the fact that I called the local paper 10 minutes ago and they'd never heard of you.
Ah, well, I know what's happened there. The girl on reception is new,
Forget it.
so I'm freelance, you see,
He's not
so...
a journalist.
Thank you.
Told you.
Mr. Gibson is a paranormal investigator.
A what?
It means I look
I
into...
know what it means. We talked about this.
And you said no.
I did.
And I'm still worried about Matthew.
He's 7 years old. He imagines things. That's what 7-year-olds do.
Actually, if I
No,
may...
you
I
may not.
This is more than his imagination.
According to who? This guy?
And just how much are we paying?
I'm not charging a fee.
Oh, please. You've got an angle. I'm not stupid.
Are we going to talk about this like grown-ups?
Well, it doesn't seem likely, does
Well,
it?
I'm saying we are. We're going to sit down, eat this food, and have a conversation about this.
Is it better if I go?
Yes.
Sit, both of you. Mr. Gibson?
Phil, please.
Phil?
Well, this is going to sound outlandish.
Surprise me.
Mrs. Blake contacted me about this case a couple of weeks ago. Now, as I understand it, Matthew has reported seeing and communicating with a girl about his age. A girl called Mary.
That's right.
He has an imaginary friend.
Now, we don't rule that out, obviously.
Oh, that's nice.
Johnny.
But he describes Mary as wearing clothes that match those a girl would have worn in the early part of the last century.
So he saw something on TV.
And he claims that she taught him a nursery rhyme.
He won't stop singing it.
Could have got that from anywhere.
That's true. Nothing about this is particularly unusual. 7-year-olds have imaginary friends. They watch TV. They're influenced by all sorts of things.
My point exactly.
None of that is what's happening here, Mr. Blake. There was a house that stood on this exact site. It was built in the early 1700s and it burnt to the ground in 1926.
So?
Well, according to the sole local newspaper article from the time that I was able to pull off the web, the Marston family, whose house it was, were all murdered on June the 17th, 1926. They were killed in their beds, stabbed to death with dressmaking scissors by their youngest daughter, who subsequently vanished into thin air. The girl's name was Mary. She was actually 9 years old.
Even if that's true, do you seriously expect
You took
us
the
to
stone from that house and you used it for the floor in your hallway.
It's just stone.
Matthew said that Mary lives in the floor.
No, this is ridiculous.
She's there. Matthew can hear her. We can't. But we can record her. I recorded her. Listen.
He would have needed to turn it off to play them the earlier recordings. So he's a paranormal...
You're a ghost hunter.
How did you not know that?
Me?
Well, plural. I mean, the police. The guy gets reported missing.
Well, I don't think he chased ghosts as an actual paying job, and I don't think they have a union, so he doesn't show up on records anyway.
And no one looks into these things.
In London? Do you have any idea how many people go missing?
Tell me you're not finding this the slightest bit creepy.
It's a scam.
He's not asking for any money.
Well, not yet, but it's still a scam.
Are you sure?
Well, how can it not be? Come on, the house is haunted by the ghost of a murderous 9-year-old girl? Come on.
So he's a con man.
Has to be.
And yet, at some point during the next few hours, all the people in that house vanish. And when you found their bodies...
But there is an explanation for this. There's a logical...
When you found their bodies, they'd been stabbed to death with dressmaking scissors.
So you're actually buying this?
In 1926.
What do you want me to say, Rachel? Yes, it's all true. They were attacked by a ghost and they went back in time.
I'm getting carried away.
A little bit, yeah. Oh. Can I use this phone? I don't have any service down here.
Dial 9. I'm going to run that noise in the hallway through some filters, see if I can clean it up.
Hi, it's Marquez. I'm on the Blake House thing. Can you pull me up whatever you can find on a house that was on the site previously? Apparently it burned down in 1926. Family name, family members, what happened to them, any contact details for surviving members or their children. Yeah, also the Blake family had a nanny, first name Beezer, Bravo, India, Sierra, Alpha, no surname. She may well be an illegal. See what you can find. Yeah, and then I need you to call the Met and find out if anyone there has anything on this guy, Phil Gibson, setting himself up as a paranormal investigator. Yes, as in ghosts. I know. No, I don't think... No, it's a scam. I'm just trying to work out what kind of scam it is. Okay. You got this number? I don't know, another hour maybe, then I'm on my mobile. Okay, cheers.
There's something in here. Yeah, it's actually a mix of different sounds, but it's going to take a little while to separate them out.
Can it happen in the background while we carry on?
Well, you have to be somewhere.
We'll have to be in bed.
See, Matthew's hearing a voice which we can't hear. Now, I originally assumed that the voice would be inside his head. Not imagined, I don't mean that, but literally inside his head, as if someone were speaking directly into his brain.
And now you don't think that?
Ah, you heard it on the recordings.
I heard something.
That noise. I don't know what that is. And the voice of the little girl singing, Mary.
So if it's on your tape?
Somehow it comes through on the recordings, even though we can't hear it in the room.
How is that possible?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I'm not maybe a technical thing to do with sound. I mean, I'm not an audio expert, but there are precedents.
Like what?
Photographs, pictures people have taken of perfectly ordinary things, weddings, holidays, whatever. And when the pictures are developed, there's something else there. You know, figure in the background, someone they swear wasn't there at the time.
I thought those things were all fakes.
Some, but not all. This is a lot to take on board, I know. And people don't tend to believe in this stuff. A few hundred years ago, yes, but now, well, we understand more now. And I suppose that makes us think we understand everything. If you're having difficulty with this, I think that'd be normal.
I'm just worried about my son.
Of course.
So is Jonathan. We've talked about it. This is so far away from anything he'd ever buy into.
Okay, there we go. So, the idea is, there's a recording device here, which should pick up everything in this area, whether we hear it or not. It then sends a signal to this laptop, and you can see the waveforms on the screen as I'm talking. And that means that anything it picks up, even if we can't hear it, should register on the screen. I've also connected the laptop to these speakers, so we'll be able to hear what's being recorded. And we heard some sounds on those recordings earlier that weren't audible in the room. And with this setup, we should hear them from the speakers almost simultaneously with them being recorded.
Okay, so what do we... Oh, that's weird.
Testing. Testing. 1, 2, 3. There anybody there? No? Well, that all seems to be fine.
How are you doing with that noise?
It's, well, the software's doing its thing. I can't see how this is something Gibson is making happen.
You mean technically?
If it was just coming from the speakers, then no problem. He could trigger a pre-recorded sample to play back using a remote. That's easy. But it's on this recording a second before it comes out of the speakers. I don't know how you do that.
You don't know, or...
I mean, there's no way to do that.
So what does that mean?
It means it's a real noise. I don't know what it is or where it's coming from, but it is happening in situ, and I don't think Gibson's controlling it in any way. And it's spiking the recorder.
It's what?
Somehow it causes the recorder to shut down. Each time we've heard it, the recorder has shut off immediately, like it's overloading it somehow.
Is there another clip?
Yeah, a few seconds later. Gibson must have realised the machine had cut out, and he switched it back on again.
Well, let's hear it.
The same as you played us before?
It is.
What is it?
I don't know. Is anyone there?
I should get Jonathan.
Shh. We're listening.
There was something there. Before the noise.
I didn't hear it.
No, neither did I, but there's a spike in the waveform. The recorder picked something up. Right here. Just give me a second. Okay. That's her.
Now, hold on, that could be anything.
It's not anything. That is a little girl giggling. I do this for a living, Jim. Allow me to know. Whoever Gibson was, whatever he was trying to achieve here, this is not him. He is not doing this.
Okay.
I don't know what this is. Hello? Yeah, hold on.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, one sec. Go. Uh-huh. Okay. Well, seriously? Okay. Yeah. Yeah? When was this? Uh-huh. All right, thank you.
What?
Weird.
What is?
Okay, the original house on that site was occupied by the Marston family. They moved in just before the First World War. And they were all found murdered on June the 17th, 1926.
All?
Well, mother, father, 2 boys. The youngest was a girl.
Mary?
Yeah. And she killed them all. Stabbed them with a pair of scissors.
And what happened to her?
Well, that's where Gibson's wrong. Well, not exactly wrong. She didn't vanish. She was taken into care. They changed her name to protect her, I suppose. She spent the rest of her life in a string of secure psychiatric hospitals. Apparently her mind never developed beyond that of a 9-year-old girl. She was violent, dangerous. Now, I don't know what caused it or what was actually wrong with her.
So where is she now?
She died.
Of?
I don't know. Old age. She had a stroke in 2003, slipped into a coma. She hung on for a while, but she never woke up.
Okay. Well, she was in no shape to kill anyone then. What are you not telling me?
The weird part. Mary Marston died in the early hours of the morning of the 4th of November, 2004.
That's...
Yet the date the Blake family disappeared.
What time?
12:37 in the morning. Where are we now?
The next clip is timestamped at 12:29.
8 minutes to go.
She went to check on Matthew. Said she might try and get some sleep.
Can I talk to you?
Of course.
Somewhere where my voice isn't being broadcast all over the house.
Oh, cool, sorry, yes. I think we are going to get something on tape. I mean, we already have something, but I think we'll get something more substantial.
Why are you doing this?
I'm sorry?
Imogen's worried about Matthew. I'm not going to pretend I'm not concerned as well, but this, what's in it for you?
Well, I thought I made that clear. I've no intention of charging.
If not money, then what?
Well, this is what I do.
What, for a living? Don't tell me it's not possible for someone to make a living like this.
No, not for a living, no.
Well, curiosity, then?
I suppose.
Because you believe in all this?
I do. Well, that is to say, I do now. I didn't always, but things I've experienced have... It's very difficult to put into...
Well, you've seen a ghost?
No.
Because that would seem to be a prerequisite of believing.
I've gathered evidence.
Evidence?
Recordings.
What, like recordings you're making here?
Yes.
That could be anything?
No, I don't think so.
An indistinguishable sound that could be some kind of interference, something that may or may not be footsteps.
I've felt
Oh, yeah,
things.
what have you felt?
The presence. And I feel it here. There's something...
Your feelings count as evidence?
To me, yes.
What do they call that? Your what is it? Sensitive?
Some people call it that.
And if you found something here beyond a shiver or a vague feeling, beyond a few sideshow tricks with a tape recorder...
I am not conning
If you saw something, for instance, not just you, if we all saw something, what then?
I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. Do you know why you don't know? Because
please.
you're an amateur, Mr. Gibson. I don't think you're a con man. I don't. I think you genuinely believe in what you do.
Thank you.
But that's no use, is it? Because you've never really found anything, and you don't have the first clue what you'd do if you did.
Without proper observation, it's impossible to make any kind of decision.
I've seen her. The little girl. Mary Marston, if that's who she is. I've seen her.
Oh, how? Where?
In the mirror, the one in the hall. I was putting my coat on yesterday morning. She was standing behind me.
And what did she look like?
A little girl. Pale. Long dark hair, almost black. She was wearing a blue dress. She was just looking at me in the mirror.
And when you turned round?
No. Nothing there.
You've seen her?
Yes.
Well, then why didn't you...
Because I wanted it to be my imagination. Matthew's stories and Imogen's concern for him. She'd already mentioned talking to someone like you. I just wanted it to be my mind playing tricks.
And why don't you think it was?
Because I've never been so scared in my life. I don't mean that she made me jump, because she didn't, which is probably strange in itself, but there was this overwhelming feeling of dread. I can only imagine it's what passengers in a crashing plane might feel. This terrible certainty. I didn't want it to be real. And bringing someone like you here, talking about it, making recordings, that somehow makes it more real. I don't believe in any of this stuff, but I saw her, Mr. Gibson, and I think she's evil, really, truly evil.
She's here.
Where's Imogen?
She's upstairs, she's fine. Whatever this is, it can't do anything. Come on. Hello? Mary? Mary? You there?
What does any of this mean?
I don't know. But if we can talk to her, maybe she can tell us what she means, why she can't rest.
No, we can't talk to her. You don't understand. There's something nasty here, something really...
Here I am. I've come home.
12:38. 1 minute after Mary Marston died. She came back to the house. Well, what on earth do you think that was?
I don't know.
Do you have any theory that fits what happened in that house better than what we're listening to?
No theory, but a lifetime experience that tell me there's no such thing as
Are
ghosts.
you listening to what's happening here, Jim?
I know what's on the tape, but how it got there...
You came to me because I'm an expert. And I'm telling you, this is not a fake.
Okay, all right.
No, don't pacify me. Tell me what we do.
Do? Rachel, take a step back. This is a recording, 6 years old. Whatever happens has already happened. There's nothing to be done except to try to understand what it is that we're listening to.
I want to go there.
Go where?
To the house.
To the house? You decode audio files in your little room here. You don't go to crime scenes. Why are you, Quincy?
Well, it's on my way home.
No, it isn't. It's 2 miles down a track in the middle of a forest. It's not on anyone's way home.
Don't you have to know? You're a detective.
Yeah, and 15 years in this job have put me at peace with not always knowing. I get that this is disturbing to listen to. I'm not immune to that. But this is the past. Now, whether this is a con or a hoax or something more than that, there's nothing that we can do to stop it playing out.
I got...
Yeah.
Thanks for not slapping me around the face.
Well, that was plan B. How many more clips?
This is the last one.
Okay, you right to carry on?
Don't push it.
Okay.
That was her, wasn't it?
Do you think?
What does she mean she's come home?
Well, that's what we need to ask her. If she's ready to talk.
Matthew.
Imogen! Imogen! Matthew!
Imogen.
I don't want to. I don't want to.
What's the matter?
It's okay, darling. It was just a bad dream.
We have so much to
Go away. Make her go away.
Hello. Who is it, Matthew?
Come and play with me.
I don't want to.
Is Mary here, Matthew?
It's okay. She's not really here.
I can see her. She's over there.
There's no one there, darling.
Can you see her?
No.
Why would he be able
It
to?
doesn't matter.
Bad things are going to happen.
Go away. There's no one there.
She doesn't exist, Matthew.
We need to get out of here.
Downstairs, come on.
Stop it. Stop it.
Go, get out. I've got Matthew. Come on, you hold on to me. I've got you.
Let's get out of the house.
It's locked. It's locked.
No.
It's not here.
She's here. Mary. Mary. My name's Phil. I just want to talk to you. Mary. Mary, can you hear me? We don't mean you any harm.
I'm not listening.
Without that equipment, we can't hear you, Mary. Mary. Mary.
I'm just here.
Oh, something just hit me! Oh, my leg's bleeding! She stabbed me!
This one! We can go through this one, I can get it open!
There shouldn't be a door there!
Come on!
I don't know what the hell we just heard. What's that?
The audio filters. They've broken down the noise we've been hearing.
And?
1 second. It's a composite, a whole bunch of sounds laid over the top of each other.
So can you play them individually?
Yeah. That's the first one, but hold on, because I think the sound wave is distorted, as if it's passing through something dense.
Like stone?
Yeah, like stone. Let me just adjust for the... There.
That's...
It's Matthew Blake.
But this is the sound that you put off an earlier recording, before anything had happened.
Yes. If I give the other layers the same treatment...
The Blake family, so who are the others?
The Marstons?
But how is that?
Well, how's it possible they were hearing their own screams? I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, what?
Can you just put it all on a disc for me and I'll give the voice recorder back to forensics?
That's it?
Well, there are no answers to be had here either. Whatever happened to the Blake family, that's a specialist investigation now. All I can do is pass it on. They asked me to get the audio cleaned up. You've done that. Now hand it all and go home.
Radio waves.
What about them?
Shortwave. Or maybe a mobile phone signal, especially if there's an antenna nearby. Or even a Bluetooth signal.
So you're talking about interference?
Yeah, it would be a freak occurrence for a digital recorder like this to get what would essentially be a crossed line with some other broadcast. But if there's something in the house or on the site that generates an unusual magnetic field, and it could account for all the voices being mashed up together.
Well, how likely is that?
You mean, is it more or less likely than these being the screams of people who've been transported back in time to be murdered by the ghost of a 9-year-old girl?
Well, how do we find out for sure?
A control recording.
You want to go to the house?
Record a few minutes in each room with no one talking, nothing else happening. Then compare that to these recordings to see if anything is interfering with.
You want to go to the Blake house?
That's on my way home.
We've already done this.
No, I was hysterical then.
Whereas now,
completely rational. Whoever investigates this, it's going to be the first thing they ask for.
Well, then let them get it.
So much easier to just...
It's not our job. Seriously, Rachel, you cleaned up these recordings. That's all you needed to do. Thank you very much.
Don't you want to know?
There's still 5 dead bodies, whatever the sound turns out to be.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. No, I don't need to tell you not to mention any of this to anyone, do I?
Who would believe me?
It's true. You okay?
Fine. Yeah, I'm fine.
Good.
Do you want to wait for this disc, or should I...
Well, no, I'll send someone to grab it in the morning.
Good. Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you for staying late. I owe you one.
Yeah.
Get some sleep.
Well, it's almost on my way home. Anyone there? Hope I'm not waking anyone up. This is a room tone recording for control purposes of the Blake house. This is the hallway. It's just inside the front door. Okay, now let's see. This is a room tone recording for control purposes of the Blake house. This is the hallway. It's just inside the front door. Okay, nothing there. Okay, I'm just going to leave this on and walk through the house because I don't want to overstay my welcome. If there's some squatters or whatever sleeping upstairs. This is hallway, bottom of the stairs. This is the kitchen. We didn't hear any background sound here on the recordings, but anyway. Okay, well, this looks like it would have been Jonathan Blake's study. This is where we heard the little girl. So, this door goes to... Damn it! Hello?
Rachel? It's Jim.
Hi, sorry, I've just managed to break my... Everything all right?
Yeah. What are you doing?
I'm trying to open something. Hold on, let me put you on speaker. Can you hear me?
Yeah, where are you?
Hold on. Hi, sorry.
Wow, can you turn that off a second? I can hardly hear you.
Turn what off?
Hello?
I'm here.
Rachel?
Oh, one sec. Hang on. Which room's this?
Are you still at work? I'd have thought you'd have left. Can you turn that off?
Turn what off?
What do you mean? The bloody noise, the screaming is deafening.
Oh, no.
Look, I've got some news. My lot managed to track Peter down, the nanny. She's alive and well, so whoever that 5th body was...
Jim, can you hear me?
You still there? Hello?
Help me!
Rachel?
I'm just here.
In Bad Memories by Julian Simpson, Rachel Weir was played by Nicola Walker, Jim Marquez, Rupert Graves, Philip Gibson, Stephen McIntosh, Imogen Blake, Jana Carpenter, Jonathan Blake, Anthony Calf, Matthew Blake, Oscar Richardson, Mary Marsden, Imogen McCurdy, Student 1, Ashley Cook, and Student 2, Marcus Webb. Bad Memories was recorded on location at Stanmer House in Brighton by Lucinda Mason-Brown. Sound design was by David Chilton. The director was Julian Simpson. The producer, Karen Rose.